Hi, it's D'Vita with YesTantra.com. I'm a registered nurse and Tantra coach. I'm looking forward to sharing my knowledge about anatomy and physiology and merging that in with one being a female-bodied person and the ancient wisdom and practices I've been studying for several years that also bring in the energetic into pleasure. And it can be such a mystery as to why females can sometimes have challenges when they have sex with having orgasms, yet females are able to have over 7 different types of orgasms. We are actually more orgasmic than our male counterparts. Just often we're not given enough time to reach these levels of peak pleasure. So I'm going to share some things with you, and you can share this with your partner as well. So let's get started. The Female Orgasm Masterclass. Today's topics that we're going to go over is that there are just over 9 actually different types of female orgasms. I'm going to share with you what the climax gap is. We're going to briefly overview some female and male anatomy, the G spot and the P spot, as well as sexual reflexology. Then we're going to dive deeper into masculine and feminine energies and polarity, and why having the opposite energies really helps to keep that spark and ignite the passion in relationships, regardless of what your gender is, and just the female arousal, and then some sex and pleasure tips towards the end. So stay tuned for that. Now, again, females can have over 9 types of orgasms. There's clitoral, vaginal, G-spot, cervical, breast, nipple, mouth and throat, breath or energy orgasms, and anal orgasms. So these are all possible ways that females can experience exquisite pleasure whenever they have sex. Now, the climax gap refers to the fact that only 39% of women compared to 91% of men said that they usually or always experienced orgasms in heterosexual sex. Now, a lot of times when we're with a partner, we feel that it is very significant and powerful when we can have an orgasm at the same time. But a lot of times when females do have orgasms, it can be at a different time than the male partner. So just as long as each one of you is experiencing pleasure, that's all that matters. So don't put too much pressure on like the timing of the orgasms. Sometimes it will work out that way and sometimes you won't. So just enjoy the journey without being too focused on like the timing or when orgasms happen. Now here, this diagram just shows again the orgasm rates where we look at straight men. And when I say male and female in this, I'm just saying male as far as anatomically female and anatomically male. You know, we can present and feel a different gender or identify in a different way. And so when I'm speaking of male and female, I'm just talking as far as like your reproductive anatomy. So where those systems work differently, regardless of what your gender presents as. 95% of straight men, then 89% of gay men, 88% of bisexual men, and that whereas lesbian women 86% of the time have orgasms, bisexual 88% of the time, and just female straight women have 65% orgasm rates. So that's quite a gap between the male and the female orgasms. So here we have the clitoral complex. And so if you just see in the center there, that's what we all refer to as the clitoris, but there's more to it than meets the eye. This beautiful artwork is by artist David Gagne, Gagne, and I believe you can find his work on Instagram. But right here, the clitoris, it extends far beyond the little pink pearl that we see at the top of the vulva. Sometimes it's exposed by the flesh covering that we refer to as the hood. And the entire complex is made up of erectile tissue, just like the shaft under the hooding. So it's the corpus cavernosum. The crust is the light pink coloring you see there, and the vestibule bulbs are in yellow. So it really it expands out like to this large surface area. And some people can experience pleasure differently because the nerve endings are so different. And the clitoris, it has so many thousands of nerve endings, even more than in the penis. So it can experience amazing pleasure. So just like the penis, the erectile tissue becomes engorged whenever we're aroused. However, unlike a penis, it can take up to 45 minutes. This is why for females to experience maximum pleasure, they need the time, the foreplay. And another tip is foreplay begins before you enter the bedroom. Foreplay begins how you treat your partner during the day, the way you're speaking to them, the intimacy that you're creating, the affection that you're showing them. There's so many different ways that we can be getting that passion and looking forward to things with our partners before things happen in the bedroom, which is another reason it's really important to have a date night. Sometimes males don't realize how important this can be to a female. I know personally for me, I really love having a date night because just my mind gets going, and our mind is our largest sex organ. I'm going to say orgy there. Oops, no. Our mind is our largest sex organ. So when we're able to start mentally thinking about it and fantasizing anticipation, like that's such a turn on. So then the female has more time to get primed and ready. And also know with whatever the demands are for the day, and like, do we need to take a nap? Like, are we having children that we need to take care of? Like, all of those things play a role in it. So just being able to be ready for that. So date night, very important. And then taking your time with a partner, potential massage, all kinds of things, because just remember, it is going to take 45 minutes. So you need to give the female the time. Anatomically, just the way our bodies are wired, you have to preheat the oven. You got to get things warm. Many are able to orgasm by stimulating the clitoris easily without engorgement, but that's not the common thing. So sometimes there might be a partner or woman that experiences that, and then the male partner is, oh, all women are like this. We're all different. Just like men can experience pleasure in different ways. It's just really important to discover like what your partner enjoys. Now, I will say personally for me, I'm super sensitive at my clitoris. So I don't like a lot of attention. Like I really don't want my partner to be licking my clitoris a lot because it's just overstimulating to me. Actually, at the very part, like probably right above where the artist's name is here in that little pink area, like where the yellow, where the picture is ending, that little piece of skin right before the opening for me is amazing. If my partner will lick that area, it really is such a turn on for me. You just expressing and communicating with your partner and knowing what their turn ons are. And for females, being able to communicate with your partner when something does feel good and just giving with our moans or our words, letting them know and communicating, because we're not psychic, and communication is key to having a better sex life. So being able to express yourself and share with your partner what feels good is so important. Next, we have just the comparison of what the clitoris looks like compared to the anatomy of a penis. So if you see there's the penis and the clitoris. So these cells are the same like in utero. Cells that make the penis make the clitoris. If you discover that your XY, your body, as the cells start to divide, the body has XY chromosome, then it's going to go into being male. And if it's XX chromosome, then it's going to go into being the female anatomy. So you can just see the comparison there, and that the red is the glans area, the blue indicates the shaft area, and then the bulbs are the green area, and the crust is the yellow area. And just look what a large area that the clitoris extends to. And so that's underneath the skin and underneath the vulva. So there's lots of pleasure to be experienced there. The male scrotum and female labia majora come from the same embryonic structures, and that's the labiosacral fold. And the paradorsal erectile tissues called the corpora cavernosa are found in both the penis and the clitoris. The head of the penis and the clitoris both come from the embryonic genital tubercle. So that is from a professor of biology. There can be variations of this, and the actual gender that someone identifies with is related to a variety of factors, including the brain and the hormones, not just the external organs present. So one thing I do like to share with people is when we feel like we're a man or a woman, whenever you feel that based on just the sense of who you are, you just close your eyes and you tap into that energy of feeling into that. And you don't need to look in your pants to tell yourself like who you are. And so just also remembering to honor other people and just know that if they identify differently, that isn't an easy journey for them, and just to respect that. And even if you don't understand it, just give people a lot of grace and compassion and try to understand like what their pronouns and things are like that. So it's a little side note, but I have worked with a lot of transgender patients. It's really helped me to have more insight and more sensitivity in this area. We got to talk about sensitivity. The clitoris, you got to be sensitive on a lot of things. Another thing that I want to share, unlike the penis, the clitoris does not contain the urethra. That is one big difference. And therefore, it's not used for urinations. There's that separate urethra opening that is still very close to the clitoris and associated nerves, but it's a little bit below. It's a little bit where the blue and the green meet at that triangular point at the top. Somewhere around in there is where the urethra is found. The clitoris also has a reproductive function. The clitoris is solely made for pleasure. As urologist Dr. Helen O'Connell states, it boils down to rivalry between the sexes. The idea that one sex is sexual and the other sex is reproductive. The truth is that both are sexual and both are reproductive. She also believes that the urethra and vagina are related structures forming a cluster within the clitoris, which is the primary location of female sexual function and orgasm. So here's just some facts about the clitoris. There are more than 8,000 nerve endings in the tip of the clitoris. That's double the number of those in the penis. Think about that. Let that sink in for a moment. So these tiny erogenous zones have a feeling to 15,000 other nerves in your pelvis. So your pelvis is like all the womb area where all your sex organs are stored, in your lower abdomen, behind your pubic bone, the rectum, all of those things are there, pelvic floor. So it's the only body part with the sole purpose of pleasure. Yes. It's the only body part that never ages. So it's the real G-spot, the part of the clitoral network. So when you're stimulating the G-spot, you're actually stimulating part of the clitoris, which is much larger than we're led to believe. To clarify that, because the clitoris extends so much deeper than we realize, actually, when you are stimulating the G-spot, it is believed to be like a clitoral orgasm because the tissues are involved in stretching into that area of in the pelvis. So a vaginal orgasm may actually be due to stimulating the clitoris with each pelvic thrust, because the way the legs and everything on the clitoris go down, right? You're putting stimulation to that, even if you're not directly touching the clitoris. That's a super interesting fact. The body's so amazing. That's why I've always loved being a nurse and studying it. And I've always been super fascinated with sex since a young age. So I really love researching these topics and sharing more on this. Yeah, that's the fact about the clitoris. Yeah, it deserves a lot of TLC, give it a lot of attention, but take your time with it. Be really gentle with it. Be sure that the female is lubricated. Don't be too rough on it. There's so many nerve endings that could be cause discomfort. This diagram does show the urethral opening there, the vaginal opening, but you can see how the clitoris just wraps all around that. So it's so awesome. There's so much more than meets the eye. So it's definitely like the tip of the iceberg for real. Erectile tissue on females consist of the clitoris, the labia minora, the vestibular bulbs, and the corpus spongiosum will be technical here. All of the nerve endings in your vulva can signal to your brain to produce sensations of sexual pleasure. If you aren't inhibited by thoughts, beliefs, or distracted by the long list of things you need to do, your genitals will respond with engorgement and arousal to bring you to orgasm, which is another thing I want to share with you, is the fact that having a meditative practice can really intensify your orgasms and make it easier for you to orgasm. And for males, the longer that they can meditate, the longer they're able to hold the presence and the longer they're able to have sex. So for females, a lot of times, like the monkey mind, we get so distracted with the to-do list and all the things that we need to do. And so that we're not fully present and connected to our body. And we're thinking or worrying about something else, or being self-conscious, like negative body talk or self-image, or we're concerned about what our partner is thinking. And having a meditative mind state and be really present in your body when you're sharing intimacy and connecting with a partner is key to experiencing more pleasure. When we're distracted and we are not able to focus well on the pleasure and have as many powerful orgasms as we could have. So developing a meditative practice is key. I had a hard time learning how to meditate. It was very challenging for me. So the way I was able to learn was I used an app called Headspace, and the first 10 of those are free when you sign up, and you can just repeat those. And it has cute little animations and cartoons. It was so helpful for me, and I recommend it to all my clients. So if you're wanting to have better orgasms and have better sex and deeper intimacy, start a meditative practice, because again, the largest sex organ is your brain. And so this really helps to rewire that in your pleasure centers and helps you to experience more pleasure in your body. Again, this is another view. You can just see the female anatomy. You see the clitoral hood where the skin can come down and cover that, the clitoris. You have the inner labia, the outer labia. And I encourage females to look and be aware that vaginas all look so different. And some people have longer lips. It's completely normal for them to be asymmetrical, one to be a little longer than the other. With childbirth and things like that, sometimes they can get a little larger in size. It is all fine. Don't sit there and be critical of yourself. It's a beautiful part of our bodies and should be honored. And sometimes if you'll just even self-pleasure in front of a mirror and just look and see the changes and the coloring and how as the blood flow gets to be more engorged and your arousal state go up, you'll see how the colors change in your beautiful anatomy. So just mirror work is always amazing. I love to listen to videos by Louise Hayes about mirror work, and having mirror work for your vagina and giving self-love to yourself is so key. It's when we're being so critical of ourselves, then we're disconnecting and shaming our bodies, and then we wonder why our bodies aren't feeling pleasure. The places we want to have pleasure, we need to be giving them lots of love and TLC and words of affirmation. It will definitely make your sex life much better. So you can't shame your body and then expect to feel amazing pleasure with it. And oftentimes we get so disconnected from our bodies because of the demands of day-to-day life. It's really important to take time to even self-pleasure and connect with our bodies. So here in this image here, you see the vulva being non-aroused and then going to the stages of arousal. Isn't that amazing? Art by Jaime Vulve, Vulve. A vulva does not have the same look during excitement and pleasure as it has during rest. Again, have you ever seen your changes of your anatomy during arousal? Some females, it surprises me, they don't even take the time to look at their anatomy or they're embarrassed about it. Grab a mirror and discover some things about yourself. And if you've never masturbated in front of a mirror, like you're missing out. It's a really beautiful practice. So again, grab the mirror, just see how the changes are there and just be patient. Because again, it takes 20 minutes to be in full excitement. So give yourself that time to fully get into that excitement. And you can even take before and after photos to compare and admire and see the differences. But remember, things can be saved to the cloud. So be sure that you permanently delete them, keep your photos in a secure place. Not that you should have shame about your body, but some people can be immature about human anatomy. Just be sure that they don't pop up on your phone at a time or that you wouldn't like. So this is your body, your sacred space. Definitely explore it. It's so beautiful. This is just an image of the aroused vulva. And this is just the clitoris in non-erect versus erect state. This lovely illustration is by Hilda Atlanta. I love this art. So you can just see the difference in it and how, especially if you look at the vestibular bulbs, see how much they get engorged and filled out whenever they're aroused compared to before. Look like some deflated balloons before. So you can see the vaginal opening, the urethra. There's just have a moment to look at that. Such beautiful artwork. Then we're going to go into sexual reflexology. Sexual reflexology uses the sexual reflex points in lovemaking and self-pleasure. Understanding this can help couples and solo practices because Tantra isn't just for couples. There's a beautiful solo practices with Tantra and just can be used as an act of healing. So then sexual intercourse becomes a form of like ecstatic acupressure. Have you ever gone to a reflexologist and have an acupressure massage? We're actually able to give your body an amazing massage through sex, through self-pleasure, because pleasure is medicine. So the most powerful reflex points on the body are the sex organs. The whole body provides the sexual organs with energy. So our sex center and our pelvis is like our power plant. Like we create a lot of energy there. So when we learn how to strengthen our pelvic floor and diminish any leaks that we have in the pelvic floor, because when our pelvic floor is weak, we can have leaky energy. So it's almost like the pelvic floor is like a bowl, and you want to be able to have a bowl that's able to hold the energy there, right? And not have any leaks. And then you're going to want to be able to build the energy there by doing the Kegels, the breath of fire, your PC squeezes, building up the floor, doing sexual energy, and then breathing that energy through your body through powerful breath work. The most powerful points again are those organs. And so you can actually breathe that energy again in ancient Taoist techniques. And I've also learned this from Master Mantak Chia. He's been teaching this for 40 years. And I've done some workshops with him. And you can breathe that energy through your body and even just feel as if that pleasure energy is flowing into your organ systems and revitalizing you. It's like fountain of youth. The Taoists call it again the healing love because of its deep healing properties. And these practices have been around for over 5,000 years and were done by emperors and the elite in the society. And it was kept from the common people because this is the way the people in power were to remain in power by not letting everyone have all the secret keys that now I'm here to help you have this knowledge and have access to this. And we know whenever we're getting sex education as a teenager, no one was talking to us about things like this. So there's no shame if you don't know this, but no better time than now to begin learning it. Here you can just see the foot reflexology. Again, my big head keeps getting in the way, but you can just see how the different areas of the feet show different points of reflexology. I just went and had a massage the other week, and a reflexologist, and it was super amazing. When most people hear the term reflexology, they think of the foot massage. But in the West, it's common to see charts like this that map out the areas of the body correlating to regions of the feet. Charts like this make sense because the human body begins as a single cell that contains a blueprint for your entire body. So just think about that. It's amazing, right? So as the body grows, energy meridians, which are these like the lines of energy running through your body, and they use energy meridians in acupressure and acupuncture, but the energy meridians run through, and the key parts of the body are mapped over and over again through this blueprint from that very first cell. So rather, it's like a hologram, like a 3-dimensional picture in which every part contains the whole. Each part of the body has a mapping for the entire body. The human body is so fascinating. So these energetic mappings are regularly used in Oriental medicine and are beginning to be more accepted in the West. Reflexology is based on the premise that all our organs have reflex points on other parts of the body. The corresponding points are found by dividing the body into different zones. Organs in a particular zone can be stimulated by working on reflexes in the corresponding reflex point zone. The meridians used in traditional Oriental medicine, acupuncture, shiatsu, also indicate mappings of the energetic pathways in the body. So this is an excerpt from one of Montauk Chia's book on sexual reflexology, activating the Taoist points of love. So I went the other week to a reflexologist, and I'm going to move my little picture up here if you want to see this. So one is the left foot, one is the right foot, and the left foot happens to do more of your descending colon, your small intestine. And you can see that on the right foot, it is the ascending colon, and then the small intestine, your appendix, your sciatic nerve, your knee. You see how that is all linked together? And you can just compare here. And then over here, it's the kidney, the hip joint, but then instead of ascending, the colon going up, it's the descending, the part of your colon that goes down. Then your small intestine again, and the other side doesn't have the appendix, but again, your sciatic nerve and your knee. So again, I went to the acupuncturist, and she was telling me that she could tell, because, I just moved from California to Austin. And so there's a few people that I'm sad that I miss. And so whenever she would squeeze my pinky finger, I was having pain. And she says that was my heart meridian. So that was saying that I was having some sadness in my heart, which made sense. And so she was able to tell these different things from the different energy centers. And then she was saying that the pain that I was having on areas of my neck was like me carrying a lot, but I just quit my nursing profession as being my full-time career, and I'm going all in on my Tantra coaching. And there's a lot with moving and big career changes. There's a lot of weight and things that I'm carrying. I'm also in a business coaching program. So I'm having my assignments, I'm learning, I'm coaching my clients, I'm moving across the country, like all these things. She's, oh, you're holding a lot right now. I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So it's really beautiful. You have an opportunity to go to reflexologist. But now we're getting back to the juicy part about the sexual reflexologies. Here we go into genital reflexology. So it's the same premise, but it just shows mapping out, you can see, of the penis, that the top and the middle is the heart, to the sides of the glands, the penis is the lungs. Then down at the top of the shaft is the area for the spleen and the pancreas. The middle of the shaft is the liver, and then lower is the kidneys. And so those are just the zones of the penis. And the zones of the vagina, you have the uterus, but then see where the cervix is. The cervix at the top line there, that's where, if the penis is inside the vaginal canal, where the center and the area for reflexology of the penis is going to match up to the area on the female anatomy for the heart and the lung. And then you can see it goes farther down the spleen and pancreas, and then the liver. And at the opening of the vagina is the kidneys, which is the base of the penis. So then whenever these things are lined up, there's that's part of the sexual healing. Then your meridian, your energy centers are matching your partners. And so that's when you can have some sexual healing. Now, this is some amazing art by Alpha Channeling. How beautiful it is with the male penis entering into the vagina and the flowering there. It's just such beautiful artwork. Piece of art is called The Expanded Universe. And you do feel really expansive whenever you have an enlightened and sacred sex with a partner. So during normal intercourse, when a penis penetrates all the way into the vagina, there's a lung-to-lung contact, heart-to-heart contact, and so on. The reflexology zones of the penis make contact with the corresponding zones of the vagina. And this way, the two partners stimulate each other. This is the ideal, certainly most pleasurable form of reflexology. And this is how two bodies become one. If a woman masturbates in an unbalanced way without stimulating the entire vaginal area evenly, weaknesses in the kidneys, urinary tract can happen. They can have high blood pressure, water retention, irregular menstruation, and many other problems may result. So a lot of times as a female, for me, I know that when I would self-pleasure, I could just lightly touch the outside area and I would be able to have an orgasm. So I like to use sex toys by Chakras, and they use crystals and then use the energy of the crystal, and all the crystals have different healing properties, and use that and for penetrative stimulation whenever I'm masturbating. And then that's very healing because then all of those meridians and those reflexology points are being stimulated. So it's really important. When males are able to self-pleasure, they're able to reach all those areas for themselves whenever they're stimulating their penis with their grip. But for males, you also need to be careful that you're not gripping your penis too firmly, because then whenever you're doing that, you're decreasing your sensitivity. And then whenever you're with a partner and she's really lubricated, you spend all this time, you spent the 45 minutes, you got everything warmed up and going, then everything is wet and it's not as firm as when you have the super grip whenever you may be masturbating. So change around with your sensation, right? Sometimes when you rub your penis, gently rub it or stroke it in a different way. Don't always do it so firm. Use a little like coconut oil or something, or black seed oil I recommend to my clients, and let it get nice and wet and slippery, and then give yourself a massage that way. And that way you're able to keep a strong erection no matter what kind of sensation you're receiving. So we're going to go more into the vaginal reflexology. Help with all the way back up in the womb again, like I was a baby again. Here we go. So this is vaginal reflexology. So you can see these areas where the pineal and the pituitary gland, and your pineal is like your third eye. So it goes like a 45-degree angle around this area, your pineal gland, your pituitary gland. Then you can see the reflexology points for the clitoris. The vaginal opening is related to the heart. And you have your right lung, your left lung, the kidney, the liver, the spleen. Many women masturbate by stimulating the clit and often complain that they have the urge to urinate. But the clitoris is located at the entrance to the vagina, near the urethra. You're going to stimulate that area, right? So that's again where your reflexology zones are for your kidneys and your bladder. So that's going to give you more of that sensation. It is believed if sex and stimulation are centered around the clitoris, it exhausts the overstimulated kidneys, which can lose their ability to filter the body fluids sufficiently, leading to weight gain. And that's also related to water retention. Balance is key whenever you're doing things, and with self-pleasure and with sex. Don't overly stimulate the clitoris. Know how to do good things to create pleasure, but create pleasure in all. Give all of those areas pleasure and tap into them and do pleasure mapping and explore all areas of your body. Now here we're going to go into magnetism. Magnetism is key. Our energy can both attract and repel other energies, just like magnets. So according to the Tao, our attraction to our partner is based on the strength of our yin-yang energy charge. The stronger the charge, the more intense the passion. A weaker charge causes a decrease or loss in our desire or passion. It's really important to keep that spark alive with your partner. You can even do self-pleasure practices, use ancient tantric practices, doing things to cultivate and build that energy, strengthen your pelvic floor, and keep that energy circulating through our bodies. But so often in the demands of our day-to-day life, we're always constantly being so busy and having a never-ending to-do list, and we're not putting on that to-do list our pleasure. Like, we really need to prioritize our pleasure. So important. So it fuels us up. But when we disconnect to our pleasure and we disconnect to our sexual energy, there's like real repercussions for that. And then that's when actually even disease can set in, because disease is dis-ease, having dissatisfaction in our bodies, not feeling that pleasure. Like, the pleasure is actually, like a fountain of youth. By increasing our sexual energy and making sure we're taking care of that, cultivating it, knowing how to breathe, these breathwork practices to breathe that fully through our body, we build on that and we become like more magnetic. And this also helps with manifestation. When you're doing like law of attraction, wanting to attract other things into your life, when you're wanting to attract a better partner, like increasing your magnetism. And also when you're in a relationship, sometimes we take on extra responsibilities. We don't prioritize pleasure. We don't have date nights, or we have young children or career demands. And then we're not paying attention to creating this energy with our partner and sharing that, right? We're allowing things to drain us, and we're not taking the time for our self-care, our self-pleasure practices to keep that spark going. And almost like batteries. Then you have the positive and the negative charge, which shows on this magnet. And you need to have that positive and negative charge to keep that spark, keep that energy going. And so even with the polarity, if you're more in your masculine energy or more in your feminine energy, as females in our society, and I have a lot of clients that are successful attorneys, and that's like, as an example, and that's a very male dominated field. And because of that, they want to be taken seriously at work, and they don't want to be harassed or be disrespected or have sexual harassment or things like that can happen. But also to be seen as an equal, we can really lean into our masculine energy. And masculine energy is so beautiful. There's like nothing to be ashamed about that. And masculine energy allows us to be super focused about things and getting things done. Feminine energy also does allow for focus, but in a different way. But we really can disconnect from our feminine energy. So then someone that always stays in their masculine and has turned off their feminine energy and isn't being balanced in that way, then when they go to their partner and their partner's more in their masculine, and if we're more in our masculine, then we don't have that like opposite attract, that polarity, that positive negative charge. Or we can be, as females, we can be more into our masculine energy, which is fine. And then males are also masculine and feminine energy, even more so than females, because they are the XY chromosome. If they're able to feel into more of their feminine energy that day, and we know that we're playing that way, and then we are in a more masculine, then there's that spark again, because we have that polarity and there's that tension there, and there's that oppositeness, right? Or we can have them lean more into the masculine and we lean more into our feminine. But if both people are, and it can be regardless of gender, it can be a couple that is female couple, if both of them are being more in their feminine energy, then they start to feel, or both of them in their masculine, they may start to feel, this can happen with gay couples, straight couples. If you're always both staying in the same type of energy all the time, you start to be and cohabitate more like roommates. You're losing that polarity. You're just getting so similar. So that keeping that alive and keeping that magnetism elevated is so important. So I want to expand on that magnetism is a force of attraction or repulsion that acts at a distance. It is due to a magnetic field, which is caused by moving electrically charged particles. It's also inherent in magnetic objects such as a magnet. So a magnet is an object that exhibits a strong magnetic field and will attract materials like iron to it. Magnets have two poles called the north and the south pole, and there's the positive and negative poles. And the two magnets will be attracted by their opposite poles, and each will repel the pole of the other magnet. Magnetism has many uses in modern life. So also you can see where like magnets, personally, you can have like magnetism where you're really drawn to a person, and you can have the energy where their energy is not good with yours and you just repel one another. And we see that happen a lot. And that's why it's that energetic. Our energy both attracts and repels other energies, just like magnets. Polarity is a state of having two opposite or contradictory tendencies, opinions, or aspects. And as an example, the polarity between the masculine and feminine, like I shared earlier. According to the Tao, our attraction to a partner is based on the strength of that charge. So just keeping that charge, that spark alive is really key. There's all kinds of exercises and practices you can do for that. Even David Data, who I've taken one of his courses, he talks a lot about the need to keep that polarity going, with opposite again with the masculine and feminine energy. Now, here are the energy centers in our body. We actually have more than 7 chakras. We have chakras that even go above our body and below our body into the ground. This just shows the primary chakras. At the bottom, there where our sex organs are, is our root chakra. Our base chakra is our first chakra. And that one is red. It's like you're like with your sex, your tribe, your family, and all that. But chakras are like a complex, ancient energy system that originated in India. They were first mentioned in the Vedas, and which are ancient sacred texts of spiritual knowledge dating from 1500 to 1000 BC. And it's pronounced chakras with a ch. The chakra that means wheel, like refers to the energy points in your body. So it's like a little spinning vortex of energy. They're thought to be like spinning discs, and they should stay open. But sometimes we get blockages in our chakras from either traumas or something has happened in either childhood or adulthood. But we want to keep it open. And then when we're open, that's when we're talking about keeping our energy in alignment. Because see how the line of the energy is going down through the body center. And each energy center corresponds to the organs that are there. So that's why your root chakra, the red one, correlates to your sex organs, because that's where your pelvis and your sex organs are. We're connected to the nerves, major organs, areas of our energetic body that affect our emotions and our well-being, like the throat chakra. If you're having trouble speaking your truth with communication, that can be a blockage in your throat chakra. The root is there, and that's the base of your spine, your tailbone. But that one is about your physical identity, your stability, grounding. Blocked root chakra can manifest as physical issues like arthritis, constipation, and bladder or colon problems, or emotionally through feeling insecure about finances or our basic needs and well-being. And we see that happen whenever recently we had a shortage in toilet paper, right? And everyone was worried about that because that is based at the root chakra, and we're not feeling that our basic needs are being met, and we're concerned about that. When it's in alignment and open, we feel grounded and secure, both physically and emotionally. So grounded is just feeling energetic and fully present within our bodies, and we don't feel like our energy is scattered everywhere. It doesn't mean being grounded like when you were a kid, okay? So it's actually a very good sensation. Now the yellow, kind of golden orange chakra is your second one, and that's your sacral chakra, and that's just below your navel and above your pubic bone. So just below your belly button, your pubic bone. And that is all about sexuality, pleasure, creativity. Issues here can be seen related to the organ systems that are near that area, like urinary tract infections, low back pain, impotency. And emotionally, this chakra is connected to our feelings of self-worth around pleasure, sexuality, and creativity. Then going further up is the solar plexus, or the third chakra. That's in your upper abdomen. It's for self-esteem and your confidence. Blockages often are experienced through digestive issues like ulcers, heartburn, if you have an eating disorder, indigestion. It's a chakra of our personal power. So it's related to our self-esteem and our self-confidence. The 3 lower chakras are where most people operate their energy from all the time. And so we're almost like on a hamster wheel, and we have a blockage usually most often in our heart chakra because of something within our mother-father wound. We don't always have enlightened parents. Our parents just had traumas passed down from their parents, and they didn't have access to the internet and all the information that we have today to work past these things and try to heal from our childhood trauma. These traumas can be passed down, and we can block things off, or from a past relationship or heartbreak. And so we don't want to be hurt again. If you notice, we're almost never as vulnerable as we were the first time we were romantically, our first love, right? So the heart chakra gets blocked. And so we shut that down. And the heart chakra, if you notice here on the chart, the diagram, it is the center, and it's between the upper chakras and the lower chakras. So it's the connecting one. And it also is the chakra that connects you with others. A lot of times that chakra is blocked off. So people just continue to let their energy, their sexual energy, circulate between the base chakra and their solar plexus chakra. And you're like on this hamster wheel, and you can feel all this energy because your energy is fully flowing through your body. The energy can get really congested in your sex organs. And that's where we can be a little more animalistic and feel like really turned on. And we don't even care. We'll tolerate a fuck boy or a fuck girl. We don't care if we know the person's not good for us. We just have an itch that's got to be scratched. So then what we'll do is that energy will build up to the solar plexus. It's blocked where the heart chakra is. And then we have sex with someone. It might not be the best thing for us. And the energy drops back down. And then we go back up and we drop down. It can be a vicious cycle. But when you start to do with Tantra, with Pink Tantra, is all about self-love and working and focusing on this chakra. And when you're able to open that, then you have that opening, you don't have a blockage, and your energy can flow all the way from your sex organs, all the way up through your chakras and your energy centers, all the way up to your crown chakra and your third eye. And you have enlightenment, expansion. You tap more into your third eye, you're more intuitive, and then you have more discernment and you're better at picking partners to be with. And you won't tolerate fuck boys or fuck girls anymore because you're like, no, I'm not going to do that low vibration shit anymore. I like the way I feel when my chakras are aligned and open. Is really important. So again, the heart chakra is at the center of the chest, right above the heart. The color is green. It's about love and compassion. So again, the blocks can manifest in our physical health through heart problems, asthma, weight issues. Blocks are often seen more clearly through people's actions. So again, sometimes actions speak louder than words, right? Often we can put others first, even to our own detriment when we're lacking self-love, we're too much into people pleasing or not having the right boundaries. I know that I had that in the past. I'm a recovered people pleaser, still recovering. Sometimes those tendencies come back. I know that's also why I was a nurse, because I was always like, oh, let me help other people. Let me help other people. That chakra does bridge the gap between our upper and lower chakras. When it's out of alignment, we can feel like lonely, insecure, and isolated. And your throat chakra is like your voice, communication, able to state your boundaries, speak your yes, speak your no. And so whenever we have that blockage, the throat chakra is very similar to our sex organ. So like for females, the throat, if you look at a cross section of it, it looks very structurally similar to the vaginal area and how that looks down below in the sex organs anatomically. So whenever sometimes people have a blockage in the throat chakra, they can be a little constricted also in their sex organs. And then they can have trouble relaxing and having orgasms. And actually, when a female has their heart chakra more open, they are actually more orgasmic. So being able to trust and being able to feel like deep intimacy and connection with your partner and having an open heart will allow your orgasms to flow much more freely. That's a pro tip. That's some of the ways that Tantra can help you to have a more orgasmic life. Your brow chakra is your third eye. That's your intuition. Your crown chakra is like where you're really enlightened and you're really able to have better discernment, make better decisions in your life, choose better partners. And so you're operating at a high level, and then your energy isn't all congested in the sex organs and it's freely flowing through your body. So then you're not feeling overly so animalistic, like I just got to be with anyone. You start being able to use your energy and tap it more into your purpose and other things in your life. And you have more balance within your emotions and your energy centers. Here, I'm just going to show the emotion frequencies. When you want to elevate yourself and raise your vibration, it's really important you can raise your frequency and, elevate your vibe. And your vibe attracts your tribe. Your vibe attracts your lover. Whenever we are, again, like magnets and attracts. So you want to elevate your energetics to a higher frequency. So the highest frequency is 700 plus, like the Buddhist monks. We're not always in the full enlightenment, but that's the highest frequency, where if you see the lowest frequency is guilt and shame down to 20. And unfortunately, so many of us have shame about our sexuality or about pleasure. And so that's where I've really loved to work with people and help them so they can drop shame. I mean, why we have shame about our bodies is like beyond me. Our bodies were wired, as I've shown you, to experience pleasure. There should be no shame about sex. Like, we were created from sex. So why is there so much shame about it? If it wasn't for sex, none of us would be here. So that's just really wild. The law of attraction always responds to your energy. Every emotion is energy. Emotions are just energy in motion. And so emotions are feelings that are created by your thoughts, by your experiences. And we have the power to change our reality and attract what we want by being more aware of our emotions and our frequency, and then making a choice to choose a higher frequency. So sometimes even I'm not perfect, or we're just human having a human experience. But if I have a negative emotion, I'll try and think in my mind real quick, cancel. And then I'll try and think of a better feeling thought and raise that vibration. If you've studied things with Abraham Hicks and Esther Hicks, we're talking about raising that frequency and the vortex so that you can tap in, become like this super attractive for the things that you want to experience in your life. We have the power to change our reality and attract what we want. And Dr. Joe Dispenza explains that your personality creates your personal reality. So how we operate with our emotions, our viewpoints and everything is really important and key. And one thing I like to do, a shaman that I know taught me this, and it's just like whenever you think of a bad thought, you're feeling bad, just think of something, think in your mind, like, again, cancel, and then think in your mind, replace it with an image of some little puppies or kittens or something that makes you smile and brightens you up, and try to bring in and tap into that. Don't allow yourself to sit and do, and not to say that you need to ignore everything and be Pollyanna and act like nothing negative is happening, but just think about no amount of feeling bad is going to make the situation better. It's actually going to shift your vibration, your energetic. So when you want to attract better partners, you want to attract better experiences, better job opportunities, elevating your vibration and that staying in that alignment at a higher frequency is going to attract higher frequency things. The best explanation I can give for this is almost like frequency is like tuning in on your radio station. So you're tuning in and you're changing to different frequencies to change the station, right? So it's the same on your TV channel. So you're changing the channel. You can look at something like a TV channel. It could be the news setting with all the bad or negative media, right? Or you can change the channel to all the crime shows and the police shows. Or you can change the channel to the soap operas and the dramas. Or you can change a channel and it can be comedy. You can change a channel. It could be romance. You can change a channel. It could be about sex. You could change a channel and it could be lifestyles of the rich and famous. And if you notice that, or it could be the travel channel, it could be nature. So if you notice the channel that you're on, if you look at the lineup, a lot of the shows are the same way. So you want to do the same thing with your energetic body. You want to change the channel and elevate your frequency. So then you attract someone that's better. So when we become our best lovers and we treat ourselves well, and we're a good example of showing someone how we want to be treated, right? We can switch these patterns by changing up our energetic vibration, and we're emitting a different frequency. It's like we're being this beacon of a frequency to attract a better partner, better experience our way. That's really like the secret sauce. It's a real big game changer. Just showing how the chakras can be aligned here whenever you connect with someone. And I've had this experience. It's really profound. Your orgasms are so much better than you would imagine. Whenever you're with a partner and they've been working on their chakras and they're eating healthy and they're supporting their body and they're doing the meditation and their energy centers are open and fully flowing, you can feel like so much energy, much increased turn on and more powerful, intense orgasm when your chakras are lined up that way. So you can just see how their chakras are matching and lining up and just the aura field around them. Blocks in our heart chakra can manifest in our physical health. It's just really important that we work on these things. And like again, with the throat chakra, it connects to our ability to communicate. It's so key that we're communicating with our partners, that we're expressing our yes and our no, that we're letting our partners know what feels good to us and have that communication. So having an open throat chakra helps you enjoy better sex too. So I'm going to share a little more on the throat chakra. The throat chakra is blue, and that's your communication. A great crystal to work with this is lapis, and it's connected to how we communicate verbally. Voice and throat problems, as well as any problems with anything surrounding the areas, thyroid, things like that, your teeth, your gums, your mouth can indicate a blockage there. Blocks or misalignment can also be seen through dominating conversations, gossiping, speaking without thinking. I've been guilty of that before more than once, and having trouble speaking your mind. But when you're in alignment, you will speak your truth. You'll be able to listen with compassion and feel confident when you speak because you know you're being true to yourself with your word. And the third eye is like above the throat. You can see here when in this couple, it's an indigo color. That is your intuition and imagination. So that's physically located on the head, and blockages can manifest as headache, issues with your vision or your concentration, hearing problems. People that have trouble listening to reality, like they seem to always know it all, who are not in touch with their intuition may also have this block. When open and in alignment, it's thought that people will follow their intuition and be able to see the big picture. Your crown chakra is violet or white light, and that's about awareness and intelligence. And it's linked to every other chakra and therefore every organ in the system. So it affects not just the ones locally, but every one of them. And it's also our brain and our nervous system. But your nervous system is located through your spine, right? So your spine connects all through your body. So that's why it's connected to everything. And it's considered the chakra of alignment, represents our connection to our life's purpose and our spirituality. And spirituality doesn't always mean religion. You know, you can feel source or an energy at something greater than yourself, outside of yourself. So to study Tantra, things like that doesn't mean that you have to switch your religious beliefs or choose a religion. It's just feeling that you can feel the divine energy and source energy within you and outside of you as well. And just connecting to someone and seeing like the divine in them and them seeing the divine in you. You're just almost having, like you're having sex with their soul. I experienced by my awakening. I had my first soulgasm, and that's how I went down into the rabbit. I didn't know everything I could. With the block crown chakra, they seem narrow-minded, skeptical, or stubborn. I've been super stubborn before, many times. And when it's open, it's thought to help all the chakras open and to bring the person bliss and enlightenment, which is so amazing. And I don't know the artist to this. But here's just some beautiful diagram. And Taoist believes the microcosmic orbit, how the energy can circle from your sex organs all the way around to your crown and back. You can breathe up and breathe everything, your sexual energy and your turn on from the front of your body and let it flow down to your back of your body with knowing advanced Tantra practices and Taoist practices. I just call it the erotic loop. So it's also referred to again as the microcosmic orbit. You're circulating that energy and that sexual energy through your body. And you're having full body orgasms, and males can do this too. And this is where I teach my male clients how to separate their orgasm from their ejaculation so they be multi-orgasmic and not feel drained by their orgasm. If you have a man in your life and you wanting him to be able to last longer with you, so that you're both able to experience prolonged states of pleasure, definitely send him my way, and you can enhance the intimacy and the connection that you're experiencing together. You'll definitely have better orgasms than when both of you approach this. Next diagram is the Taoist. Montauk Chia talks about the microcosmic orbit. Again, as you can see with the yellow, it's just indicating how it's circulating around the body. You have the channel that's going up and the functional channel that's going down. And it's a Taoist Qigong technique involving deep breathing exercises in conjunction with meditation technique, which develop the flow of your chi or your life force, the energy, and along certain pathways of energy in the human body. One uses the mind to move this chi, and in traditional Chinese medicine, acupuncture with the meridians focus on moving the energy through the energy and the channels of your body as well. So the exercise can be performed in a sitting or a standing position. Purpose is to move energy and how to build your energy in your body and store it in your body for longevity, for increased vitality. So Master Montauk Chia says this Qigong practice could change your life. And it has changed mine. I do agree. Just refines your energy, keeps your energy clean, light, and easy to use. So you're able to tap into your own fountain of youth. Now, I actually have had clients where I've guided a male client on a meditation practice, and he was fully clothed, and I was guiding him. He had been doing his practices and exercise that I've been teaching him, and he's like approaching 70. For a long time before we worked together, he was really disconnected from his sexual energy. But as we worked together, I was guiding him on a meditation, and with him being fully dressed, not even touching himself, with breathing, he was able to have a full body orgasm. And he was just having the orgasms from breathing this energy and doing the microcosmic orbit. It was really powerful to watch that. It was super intense and a breakthrough moment for him. Here is just the ordinary Big Bang ejaculatory orgasm for men, or a single orgasm for women, experiencing a whole body orgasm and having the draw, bringing the energy upward to the body. And the orgasmic upward draw meditation, we focus on energy using arousal energy to activate all the energy centers in your body, resulting in energizing, relaxing, and a balancing feeling, redirecting and circulating that generative energy force to high centers of the body, and it will invigorate you, rejuvenate you, and all your vital organs as well. Initially, pleasure is felt primarily in your genitals. And so even for a lot of males, they'll just have a genital orgasm, and they'll just have a quick orgasm, and they ejaculate and that's it. But then when you start to expand and do different things for males and for females, you're able to increase it and have the pleasure go up your spine. Then that pleasure goes up into your brain, and it pulses through your entire body. Then the boundaries and the walls and the barriers where we kind of block, we can be intimate or have sex with someone, but we won't be fully intimate, or we won't let all of our walls or our guard down. We're still coming from a place of fear, and we're holding back a little bit. When you're able, these ecstatic states of bliss, you're able to drop that wall and really connect with your partner on a soul level. And then when it raises up, the orgasmic energy goes up into your third eye and your crown chakra. That's when you have the possibility of transformational consciousness. And that's what happened to me when I had my first orgasm. I just thought I was going to be having great sex with this really gorgeous man, and I did not know he'd been studying Tantra. And because I was able to have these prolonged ecstatic states of pleasure for a period of 5 hours, I was able to have this pleasure continue to circulate up my body until I had that awakening. You feel that radiating through your body like that art that we saw earlier of the couple. This is the Yab Yum position. Tantric sex bring together key glands in your brain, the pituitary, your pineal gland, that respond to the chakras or the energy centers that I shared with you earlier. And when that happens, sex is just taken to high levels of pleasure, like you've never met. It's like off the charts pleasure, like nothing you've ever experienced before. And intimacy and connection is so deep and profound. The IBM is a Hindu term that refers to a sex position often seen in tantric art. You can see them doing it here. You can do it clothed or not clothed with your partner. And the male will sit with the crossed legs and the female will straddle him with their legs wrapping around each other. And then they're also in alignment and their chakras are able to match up. You can also focus on your energy centers as a solo practice. It's really beautiful when you tap into power of your energetic centers and your chakras with your partner. You line those things up and tap into it. The benefits are when you're in this position, female can sit back and make eye contact because eye contact is intimacy, like intimate. So you're going to make that eye contact and do eye gazing. And it's best to look into your lover's like left eye because that's the receptive eye. And they'll look into your left eye and then just match your breath into your breathing together. And then you're able to really get that arousal energy going. And then if you start to have sex that way, you can do that too. Or you can just do this as foreplay as you're connecting or even afterwards and just reconnect again and feel the energy of your chakra centers. This is what I was sharing with you earlier is how your brain is your largest sex organ. Your orgasm is actually experienced in your brain, not your genitals. Surprise. That's really good news because as long as you have a brain, and at least a portion of your spinal cord, you can experience orgasm. To experience orgasm, sensations in the body, whether felt or imagined, our mind is so powerful, sends signals up the spinal cord or along the vagus nerve to your brain. If you recognize these stimuli and interpret them as pleasurable, the brain will initiate a physical response of increased blood flow to the genitals, also known as arousal. As the increased experience and focus on the pleasurable physical and emotional sensations, as those feed back to the brain and create this pleasure loop, continued arousal response will follow. If you give and allow the building pleasure wave to flow, your brain will eventually have a blast of electrical activity that triggers your physical spasms of ecstasy. Oh, we know that feels so good. While you may feel spasms in the body, the experience of orgasm is actually happening in your brain. Pretty mind-blowing, right? In the brain with neuroplasticity and with my male clients and my female clients, where we want to experience pleasure in a different way, but I'm just going to use males as an example here because it's like really common in males. It happens in both. When we are teenagers and we first start to masturbate, we do things very quickly to get from point A to point B without being caught by our parents or being shamed. And then we repeat that same way and we deepen that groove in our brain the more we repeat that cycle. So then we get used to having an orgasm very quickly. And that's why you'll see a lot of times females, they can have an orgasm on their own, but they're not able to have an orgasm with their partner because we've learned within our body with pleasure mapping and knowing our bodies just the things to do. We can go down that same path again and quickly get to having that result. Also for males, if they're used to experiencing pleasure this way quickly, then the more they repeat that, the deeper and the deeper that groove is in the brain. So when I work with my male clients, I work with them on things with nutrition to help improve neuroplasticity and to create new pleasure pathways. And for females too, so you can have longer, more intense orgasms and start to create new pleasure pathways in your body. Meditation really helps with that.
Not so long ago, many scientists believed that the brain did not change after childhood, that it was hardwired and fixed by the time we became adults. But recent advances in only the last decade now tell us that this is simply not true. The brain can and does change throughout our lives. It is adaptable, like plastic. Hence, neuroscientists call this neuroplasticity. How does neuroplasticity work? If you think of your brain as a dynamic, connected power grid, there are billions of pathways or roads lighting up every time you think, feel, or do something. Some of these roads are well-traveled. These are our habits, our established ways of thinking, feeling, and doing. Every time we think in a certain way, practice a particular task, or feel a specific emotion, we strengthen this road. Say we think about something differently, learn a new task, or choose a different emotion. We start carving out a new road. If we keep traveling that road, our brains begin to use this pathway more, and this new way of thinking, feeling, or doing becomes second nature. The old pathway gets used less and weakens. This process of rewiring your brain by forming new connections and weakening old ones is neuroplasticity in action. The good news is that we all have the ability to learn and change by rewiring our brains. If you have ever changed a bad habit or thought about something differently, you have carved a new pathway in your brain and experienced neuroplasticity firsthand. With repeated and directed attention towards your desired change, you can rewire your brain.
It's just a diagram of the parasympathetic nervous system. And I think the parasympathetic is like a parachute, like slows down, para. And the sympathetic nervous system is like S for speed up. Here we have this diagram. Early sex researchers, Masters and Johnson, divided the sexual response cycle into 4 sections. So excitement, plateau, orgasm, resolution. Initially with the excitement phase, that's when you're going to have the dopamine, excitatory center, and then the serotonin releases some things, and that can be inhibit things. So you have the excitement and kind of the give and take, the sexual tension there, and with the desire. Phase 1 is just anticipation, which I spoke on earlier about why for personally for me, anticipation is big, and having a date night or knowing that I'm looking forward to something is really get things going, and the sex is much better later. Anticipation is often just the sexiest part of sex. It's just like planning a vacation, the preparatory rituals, reading hotel reviews, shopping for resort wear, like going to top attractions, like whatever we're going to do can be just as exciting, as much satisfaction as going on the vacation itself. So just anticipating and looking forward to itself can bring you a lot of pleasure and add to the pleasure. So while you may not notice changes in your body during that phase, that is happening. And so anticipation of the reward has been shown to activate several parts of the brain, including the nucleus accumbens of the ventral striatum. Long technical words there. I don't expect you to remember that, and I don't either. That's why I've got it over here in my notes, which is considered the pleasure center and controls the release of dopamine. So your pleasure center will release the dopamine. And scientists also believe as we anticipate sex in our minds or based on observational cues, and rituals, our bodies become better prepared for the physical experience. That's what I'm talking about. So anticipation as a phase of the sexual response cycle is essential from a pleasure perspective, since dopamine levels can be higher here than in any other phase. So you're just like laying the foundation for something amazing. So it follows that anticipation doesn't necessarily precede pleasure, but anticipation is pleasure and of itself on its own. So desire often precedes excitement, and that is just as often needs to be cultivated. You have to build that desire, and having that polarity and the opposites attract, and the magnetism helps with the desire, right? And keeping that spark and that charge there. If you wait until you're in the mood to have sex, you may never find yourself in the mood. That's why it's important to prioritize your pleasure, have a date night, schedule it, because we can get so busy in our daily demands that we put those things off and our relationships suffer, our marriages suffer. Number one, a reason for divorce is sex. And another one is money. And these are conversations that we're not educated about in school. They don't talk to us about sex and money. These are like even in taboo topics and conversation, but these are key things that we need to be focusing on. Again, it's really important. You need to this is something that I learned from making a fire and ice list. So in the fire column, list everything that might lead to having a desire for sex. In the ice column, list everything that might detract your desire for sex. Consider a range of factors that are related to that, like having a lock on your door, a white noise machine to block out any distractions, the right music, the lighting, the ambient, like setting the mood and everything, right? And that's going to be on the fire list. Or like spiritual aspects, physical, like having a meditative practice, your sleep habits, your diet, your exercise, overall health, because your body is the instrument for experiencing pleasure. And that's why when I work with my clients, I do a holistic approach and give them insight on how to eat better and to nourish their bodies, so they experience more pleasure in their bodies. An unhealthy body isn't going to be feeling amazing pleasure. And when you feel more pleasure, then it's like this beautiful cycle and this dance. When you feel more pleasure, then you're charging up your cells and you're making your body healthier. So it's all really beautiful. How your relationship is with your partner, releasing tension, your communication needs, and those things, and the emotional, what are your stress levels, and your lifestyle, sharing division of labor, sharing responsibilities in the home or in life. Is one person being more responsible? What the workload is? There's just the day-to-day things. So those are all things that you need to look at with your partner. And so sometimes if you're feeling like you're doing all the caregiving and you're taking care of the finances and everything, it can really impact your desire, your sex life. I give a lot of empathy for males too, because it's really messed up in our society that they're always supposed to be the providers, are always supposed to be the protectors. They're not allowed to share their emotions or cry. Like, that's BS. And we're just humans having a human experience. So we should be sharing and not be like fall for the gender roles and what society conditions us to believe is like, that's your job and this is my job, like a partner, and make things to where you're both ready and prepared to have this intimacy and this amazing connection. Back to this diagram here on the sexual response cycle, you have excitement, and then you get to the arousal phase, which is going to have like enlarged clitoris, the perivaginal arteries dilate, and you have an expansion of the outer 2/3 of the vagina as it's getting engorged with blood flow. And then the outer third of the vagina, there's more congestion, tightening. And then you're having the heart rate is going up, the blood pressure, you're breathing. You can tell the breath of your partner as you're getting to the stage of orgasm. You're noticing the contractions and the tightening with that. And then the resolution is after. And sometimes you need a little bit of a downtime in between before you have an orgasm, like to slow things down and then build back up into that cycle. There are over 9 types of female orgasms, and I'm going to share just a few of them here. We have the amazing clitoral orgasm. When stimulated, there's 8,000 nerve endings of the clitoris. They interact with 15,000 nerve fibers in your pelvic area, leading to intense orgasms. There are 18 parts to the clitoris inside and outside the body. So some things you can see and some things you can't. I'll move over here. Can be blocking the clit. Instead of being a cock block, I'm being a clit block. So this art is by Hazel Mead, and it's just amazing. And again, you can see the urethral opening, the vaginal opening, the inner lip, where the clitoral foot is, all that amazingness of the human body. Another type of orgasm is your vaginal orgasm. Over 25% of females can achieve orgasm during intercourse. Only 25%. And why is that? Your odds of having a vaginal orgasm may have to do with your anatomy, but keep in mind, all orgasms are clitoral orgasms. Many don't realize that the body of the clitoris extends up the vagina, along the top of the vaginal wall, and down behind the labia. So again, your G-spot orgasms, maybe they're believing it's connected to the nerves from the clitoris. The nerves of it are going into your pelvic cavity and all those areas. You might think vaginal and clitoral orgasms are two different things, or that pleasure comes from the same spot. But the internal orgasms can be a result of the stimulation along the legs of the clitoris that you can't see on the outside. To go into that, only 1/5 or less of the clit is actually visible. Another diagram by the Jaime Volpe on Instagram. I don't know that I'm saying that correctly because I love the art. So you can just see how the clitoris is hiding out below where the labia and everything are, and how all of those things are wired together, and you can experience a lot of pleasure. So doing pleasure mapping, rubbing inside your thighs, lots of territory to discover here and to tap into with pleasure mapping, and even trying different sensations. Do you respond more to light sensation, more pressure? What things really turn you on? Here we're going into the squirting or the G-spot orgasm. Now, the G-spot orgasm is named after Dr. Grafenberg, who wrote about it first in 1950. It's a sensitive area located behind the front wall of the vagina, right between the pubic gut bone and the base of the cervix. And the G-spot orgasms are very intense and may cause some females to ejaculate. Now, sometimes for me, I've noticed that I have this, like, sometimes, males think that they need to be huge anatomically for us to have good sex with them or to have pleasurable sex with them. But sometimes I've had a partner that's male, and the way that their penis is pointed, the angle of it, and also the length of it, that might be making it to where it's hitting with each thrust right where the G-spot is. And the G-spot, it's like a spongy kind of dime-sized area of tissue. And it almost feels similar to the roof of your mouth. So just run your tongue across your mouth. It feels that way. If you're putting your fingers in, and I have another image to show, and you're giving like the come hither, as you're feeling up there, you can feel this little sponginess. And as you get, and just gently at first touch it. And as that area is being stimulated more, you're in the right spot. It's going to increase in the sponginess. But like when I go back to that, whenever I would have males that their anatomy, maybe they weren't have as much length as another partner, but maybe their length was a little less, but it didn't mean worse. It actually allowed them to continue to hit that amazing spot. And I would have this amazing squirting orgasm. So, the size isn't all there is to it. Here we have the Skene's glands. This is some more of the anatomy here. In 1880, Dr. Skene discovered 2 glands in the woman's urethra that emit prostatic fluid. So he noted their similarities to the male prostate. He thought they had no functional purpose and therefore considered them just like a version of the male prostate, but no longer functional and of no use. But in 1987, Josephine Savelli, PhD, published Eve's Secrets, which documents her extensive 7-year research at Harvard University funded this on women's sexuality. She reorganized and renamed the parts of the clitoris and included the female prostate, which is the G-spot. So when we're embryos and we're in utero, before we differentiate between being male or female, the cells that form the prostate, if you're male, form the G-spot if you're female. Also, pro tip, males, their G-spot is the prostate glands. There's so much shame around that they don't have it explored because they have concerns of feeling gay or whatever. But males can have amazing pleasure whenever their G-spot is stimulated. Their G-spot is tucked away and hidden in the rectum. Having pleasure, and if you're doing the right things with cleanliness and safe sex practices, can be such an amazing experience. I know I like my G-spot to be found, so I'm just sharing with you how you can find the male G-spot. And so no shame in that. So the result of the study was a complete medically identifiable female sex organ that turned out to be similar in size, structure, and function to the penis. So she really was so key in us having such a better understanding of how our anatomy works. So super thankful for her. And this is from a book from Deborah Sundahl called Female Ejaculation and the G-Spot. It's one of my favorite books. Definitely recommend checking it out. The Skene's glands help also with the lubrication. And this is just another cross-section diagram of that. So using her study with the expanded view of the sex organ, here, let me move out of the way over here. This is the vagina. You can start to understand how female ejaculation takes place. And men, the prostate is a chestnut-sized shaped organ that surrounds the urethral canal and sits next to the bladder. The male prostate contains 2 glands and ducts that manufacture and ejaculate fluid, just like the male prostate. But the female prostate also surrounds the urethral canal and has glands and that manufacture ejaculate fluid and ducts that expel into the canal. So it's not pee, it is a different fluid. The female prostate is much smaller and elongated. Its numerous ducts and glands are spaced like little miniature leaves on a tiny vine along the urethral canal for about 2 inches, as you can see here in this diagram, and where the urine exits the body. So you see there's going to be a tiny hole where the urine exits. The female prostate typically has approximately 40 glands and ducts, up to 3 times the number found in the male prostate. After the ejaculate is expelled from the female prostate into the urethral canal, it can flow in one of 2 directions, out of the body via the urethral opening or into the bladder when it goes retrograde, where it goes back up into the bladder. And when female ejaculate is ejected outside the body, it has commonly been mistaken for urine. I know that that's happened to me before, and I was real quick, put my hands down between my legs and did the quick smell test. I was like, oh my gosh, don't tell me I peed on myself. It was so embarrassing. I don't know. It's just something about when we're kids is don't wet on yourself, don't have an accident. Whenever you're feeling that sensation, oftentimes if we're having a G-spot orgasm, you're going to feel the sensation like you need to pee. Just try to breathe through it and have good protection on the bed. You have sheets, you can have a waterproof cover for your mattress. I've even had people tell me they use pee pads that their dogs use and put that down as a barrier and then just relax. And if it's pee is a sterile fluid, just be able to relax and don't have any shame about it and just explore and see what happens. But if you just breathe through it and you don't restrict and constrict, you'll be able to have a G-spot orgasm. But we usually get self-conscious because it does feel like we need to pee. And so then we tense up. But it's because it's all there with where our urethra is, and it can push back into the bladder. So it gives you that sensation. And this is because urine is the only thing that women are expected to expel through the urethra. Oh, but urine, which contains bodily waste, is excreted by the kidneys and accumulates in the bladder. But the ejaculate is prostatic fluid, which contains nutrients for sperm and is produced in the female prostate. For women, as for men, both urine and ejaculate are excreted through the urethral canal, despite the fact that they are distinct fluids. Scientists have measured the typical quantity of female ejaculate ranging to a tablespoon to 1 cup. However, it's not uncommon for women to ejaculate a far greater quantity out of liquid, up to 1 liter. Wow. During one lovemaking session, usually with prolonged stimulation and in more than one ejaculation and orgasm. As things keep building and you're with a male that can be multi-orgasmic and lasts for hours, you're going to really be able to explore some amazing levels of pleasure and even your self-pleasuring. Just continue to ride those waves of pleasure, do your breath work, breathe in that orgasmic energy into your body, and just keep going and just see to what levels you can take it. You probably surprise yourself. Thank me later. We have a diagram where you can see it's really hard to tell. You can see where the urethra is, and that little fold there is hidden. So you have up at the top the clitoris, then you have the labia minora, which is a small lips, and then you have the urethra, the Skene's glands, and the Bartholin's glands at the bottom. Those also help with lubrication. Now here, this diagram is going to show you also about how to stimulate the G-spot. So again, it's just like that come hither move that I was mentioning to you. And you have the urethral opening where the ejaculate will come out, approximately where the G-spot is. There's your pubic bone. It lies right under that pubic bone, the hard bone you can feel right below where your pubic hair is. And it's better before sex to empty your bladder, because then as things go along, you won't feel like such an overwhelming pressure to your bladder area. And it's always important to urinate after sex and even after self-pleasure, because we can be pushing bacteria with our toys or hands or with our partner up into the urethra, and then you can get frequent UTIs. So always be sure that you urinate after sex. Now we're going to show the difference here with the male G-spot. Oh, I'm all up on his nuts, you guys. Hold on. Here we go. I was definitely a caught block there. Okay, so males have a G-spot too, known as a prostate gland, and it's referred to as a P-spot. It's just, again, a small bump and bring him to having an intense orgasm and a stimulated, and it's exactly the same in male and female embryos until the 10th or 12th week of gestation. After this, the hormones start forming, and when the hormones kick in for if we're going to be male or female, that's when it differentiates into being the male prostate or female prostate, or aka G-spot. Amrita in Sanskrit means immortality. Isn't that amazing? I love that. Female ejaculate in Sanskrit and tantric practices is referred to as Amrita, which means the nectar of bliss, because it is blissful whenever you're having those intense orgasms. If a woman is healthy and emotionally balanced, it is a healing elixir for males. Actually is an elixir of longevity for men. In such a case, a man who is gifted with this by woman should drink with gratitude and joy. Oh yes, I love that. Amrita is the Sanskrit word used in Neo-Tantra for female ejaculation. The term Amrita is an honoring, since it means divine nectar and is viewed as a blessing. There are techniques you can use to awaken the G-spot and activate and invite the flow of Amrita. Amrita occurs as a response to pleasure, a therapeutic release, or an energetic activation. Orgasm isn't required for Amrita to be present, and female ejaculation can be felt as a gush or a trickle, just depending on the amount. Amrita is not urine, I repeat, not urine. Has a different taste, color, smell, consistency, and chemical composition compared to urine, and it contains PSA and also, which is the prostatic specific antigens whenever males get their PSA levels drawn to see as an indicator if they're as to the health of their prostate. But Amrita also contains fructose and sugars. Urine contains urea, and female ejaculate contains less than 5% urea. It's going to have some urea in it, though, because it passes down the urethra as it exits the body. Again, the woman will feel the urge to pee and may tense up. So just take nice, relaxing, deep breaths and relax through it, and just enjoy those amazing sensations, blessing your partner with this amazing pleasure. The liquid of immortality, like nectar, it exudes from the Chandra center, which is in the center of the head, deep behind the eyebrows. So the juice is softish, similar to ghee, with the consistency of honey. and who swallows this clear liquor dripping from the brain into the heart and obtained by means of meditation becomes free from disease and tender in body like the stalk of a lotus and will live a very long life. From Hatha Yoga Pradipika. Chandra is the middle forehead chakra, also called the moon chakra, and corresponds to various spiritual states of consciousness. And it's essentially accessed through abstract contemplative thought. The Chandra chakra is associated with the hypothalamus gland and operates to manage, maintain the balance in the physical and hormonal systems. The Chandra chakra works with the ray of love and acts to mediate between the manas and the upper forehead chakra for a higher inspiration. So where the manas chakras most represent the rational mind, the Chandra chakra most represents the artistic, creative, mystical, and intuitive mind. And as the ray of love interpenetrates Chandra, a vibratory connection is set up with the pineal gland. And that's how I had like my awakening when I had that, and it activated my pineal gland. But in this, the Chandra represents the yin or negative polarity, and the pineal gland gives the yang positive polarity to that. And together they create the faculty where divine light, supreme consciousness, is made available to the physical self, which is why I called mine awakening like I had my first orgasm. The Chandra represents the higher mind, providing access to our super conscious, where the self is united with the universal mind. Through this connection, the individual has access to the Akashic record, which is a vision of their complete karmic history. So it's almost like a library of records we can tap into that gives our history for us. Really powerful when you're able to do that. That's super advanced practices and practices about learning the Akashic records, that you start to be more intuitive and connect more into your soul and your soul purpose when you have these awakenings. And that's why sacred sexuality is so important, because you're able to elevate your consciousness and really transformative and so empowering for your life. So Tantra is a tool for amazing transformation, for you to be able to experience prolonged ecstatic states of bliss that can elevate your consciousness, and your sex is on a whole different level. For me, regular sex is born to me. Now it's just like such an elevated state. It doesn't always have to be sex for hours. You can have a quickie with Tantra, but it's just having that deep, profound connection, those really intense orgasms. There's nothing like it. It's so beautiful. Definitely like Marvin Gaye's sexual healing. This is a diagram of the cervix, and the anterior fornix is another area where people have amazing orgasms, which could also be the nerve endings from the clitoris going into that area, because the clitoris goes much deeper of a pathway than we realized initially. Then you have the vaginal canal. The external os is the external opening is os, and the internal os is the internal opening. And then you have the posterior fornix, which is that space and behind the cervix. So posterior is behind the cervix and that little groove there. And the anterior fornix is a little space right in front of the cervix. So anterior is in front of. The A spot orgasm is achieved by stimulating about 7 to 10 centimeters or 3 to 4 inches deep into the front wall of the vagina. The P spot, the posterior fornix, is achieved by stimulating the deepest back wall of the vagina before the cervix. And cervical orgasm at first can be super sensitive, but in Tantra, we call that the full body orgasm, our expanded orgasm. Instead of the pleasure being focused on your clitoris, it's a deeper orgasm, and it expands and spreads as waves of pleasure surge throughout your body. The cervix is a reflexology point for the heart, and stimulating it will cause very intense feelings of love and spiritual transcendence. I have a fetish for amazing lips. It's very sensual. Oral orgasm. Some females are very sensitive in their mouth and can reach orgasm when kissing or receiving or performing oral pleasure. It's also with a breath orgasm. And I'm able to have any energy orgasms. And I've also had orgasms when I'm giving my partner oral sex. Of course, this is also someone I'm very deeply connected to, that I'll have a great deal of care for. With having that connection and everything, and there's the pleasure centers and stuff with your mouth is very similar to in your sex organs. So I'm able to have like really amazing orgasms with giving oral sex. I can have an energy orgasm if I'm really connected to my partner. I can just lay next to them and be breathing, and we won't even have had sex yet. and just feeling their energy. If they're in alignment with me, I have had orgasms. It's really powerful. It's only there's only been 2 people that I've been able to have that experience with, but it's really profound. The first person that I was having that experience with when we were really having really healthy time in our relationship and really growing as my first person I had tantric sex with, I would have energy orgasms very easily. But as we started to drift apart and I wasn't sure if I needed to continue that relationship, his feelings were a little hurt because he was just like, you're not having energy orgasms next to me. Like, what's happening? I was starting to be a little more guarded and pulling away. That's where your heart chakra being open, you can really feel the energy and be more sensitive to your partner, and you can have those orgasms. But for females, trust and again, the brain and feeling safe is really key to having powerful orgasms. So it really has to have such a deep bond a lot of times to have these other profound orgasms. Oh, I'm going to pop that bubble. I love this. You can have your breast and your skin orgasm. You have skin orgasms with touch, with pleasure. That's why pleasure mapping with your body is so beautiful. Sometimes we just go to the parts that we know where we experience a lot of pleasure, but our skin is our largest sex organ, even larger than the brain. The brain's really powerful, but our skin is so many different areas. So you can do finger-like touch. You can need a little pinching, like biting, like sometimes someone licking your ear. All these are powerful erogenous zones we have in our bodies. But some females can reach orgasms just by stimulating their breast and nipples. I have experienced this too. Skin orgasms, just the touch of your skin. And even like during a facial massage, some people will report having an orgasm. I haven't experienced that, but any stimulation causes an orgasm. I have a friend that whenever she would go to get her hair done and they would be massaging her scalp, I know that feels so good to me, but she would have an orgasm when her hairstylist would be doing her hair. She would keep it quiet to herself. I'm going to go into some oral sex tips. This art is by Graham Shorten Adams. This is an amazing technique, an image by Lucy Macaroni, but this is not your regular mac and cheese, baby. This is the Kivin Method. So with the Kivin Method, you're going to be going side to side. Vulva owners have powerful orgasms with this technique. So while laying on your back with your legs open as demonstrated in this image, have your partner approach you perpendicularly laying from the side, and then they're going to lick across your clitoris going from side to side with their tongue. So this position covers a wider area than going up and down. So you're getting a larger surface area and it feels really amazing. Definitely encourage your partner to use this one with you. Again, the person giving the oral will be lying sideways while the person receiving on the back. Either side's fine, just whatever feels more comfortable for your body. I recommend trying both, like going from one side and then going from the other side just to see how your anatomy, because our nerve ending can be different in different ways. And one side may feel a little better for you than the other side. So experiment and try both, double the fun. And since women always usually have more sensitivity though on one side than the other, and one side of their clit than the other side of the clit. So lying sideways allows your tongue to sweep across her clit, the clitoral hood, while applying pressure to the area between her vaginal opening and anus, aka the taint. And taint, nothing wrong with that. For me, like my taint feels amazing at the bottom, like I said, with a vaginal opening. If someone licks that area, I lose it. It's so good for me. Just like with men, when a woman is nearing and reaching orgasm, you can feel the pulsations in that area. And for many men, that's the green light, or women, that they're feeling a lot of profound pleasure. So tap into the sensations of your partner, listen to their breathing, their lubrication. The body gives you lots of signals. If you're able to connect or communicate, or dirty talk is also powerful. You can use that back and forth tongue over the hood of the clitoris. And when the partner is more aroused, then place the finger on the taint, which is also called the C point. And that's where you start to feel those pre-orgasmic pulsations in that area when you touch that. And your finger just doesn't move at all. Just keep it still, because if you do move your finger, you may distract her concentration from the clitoral hood to the perineum. And so you know how we can get distracted and then we lose that orgasm. Don't be too distracting. The key here is reading her body to maintain the tongue placement. And once you get going, it's important to not stop. Yeah, don't stop. Even after she climaxes, just stimulation after the initial orgasm can be incredibly intense and satisfying. Some couples mix that up by having the woman on her back with her legs on her chest, and then he uses arms to keep the legs pushed back. This is good if your partner prefers to be widely spread. Some women prefer to have their legs closer together so the clit moves against the labia. I have been studying sex forever. I started looking at my mother's Cosmopolitan magazines when I was 7 years old and was always just so curious and fascinated about it. And I started watching Talk Sex with Dr. Ruth. It's been a fascinating subject to me ever since I can remember. I think in my life path, I know that for me, sex is a big part of my life. I've just been studying it for so long and I learned so much more with learning Tantra, and that took it all to the next levels. When I discovered Tantra, I realized I had only scratched the surface, that my sex just became more powerful, much more pleasure. My orgasms were more intense. Then I had an enlightenment and it changed my life. There's so much I can share about just female orgasm. So I was like, oh my gosh, where to begin? Tantra is means to weave. I bring in a lot of elements from my medical background, from Taoist practices that are very similar to Tantra. In addition, I'm a sex expert. To be an expert, you have to have 10,000 hours of field research. I've definitely spent 10,000 hours researching this. On a personal level, I'll bring that into play as well. Beautiful. Nice to see all of your faces here. I'm going to look into the chat and go more into orgasms.
With squirting, you were saying about that you're going in with a G-spot.
Mm-hmm.
I go in with a G-spot, but I'm not squirting. So what else do I need to do?
A lot of it can be being able to relax, because our relaxation. So doing more of a meditation practice. And sometimes we try so hard. We're like, wow, I really want to experience this. What's all the hype about? And then we start judging ourselves. Why am I not able to do that? And then we get more into our critical thinking mind. Relaxing is so important. So meditative practices and learning deep breathing. I teach ancient tantric breathwork practices, so you can circulate that energy and learn to relax your body. The biggest thing with orgasm for females is the ability to surrender. So our ability to surrender is going to be our ability to have more orgasmicness and more powerful orgasms. Also opening up your heart chakra, opening up and being more open in our minds, and being able to relax. Because when we hold tension in our body, it's almost like we want to grab water. We can't grab water. It flips through our fingertips, but we can just hold space for it. Hold it like this and it's going to be there for us. But whenever we just trying to grab something so hard and we're being restrictive, but it's like the surrender, just the flow. And then you'll see that you'll have more flow with it. Also having some padding in there. So in the back of your mind, you're like, wait, it really feels like I need to pee right now. Do I feel like I need to pee? And then we can sabotage ourselves, because when we're like, oh, okay, then we restrict down and then we want to constrict again because we're like, we don't want to pee on ourselves. Urine is sterile. It's not the worst thing that's ever happened. You know what I'm saying? It's your body. You can self-explore. Are you using anything like a crystal wand or a glass wand that's curved? Email me and let me know. I'll send some notes to everyone after too. There's some glass wands that curve and kind of curve for that G-spot, so you can start to do that. Sometimes there's some de-armoring that we need to do because we've had trauma and things like that. And so our bodies hold on and store traumas in our body. Just imagine if you're about to be in a car accident, right? And you hit the brakes, you tense your body up. Or when you've been angry, you clench your fist. Or if something scary has happened, we just tighten up. When we tighten up like that, we freeze those moments in our body. So whenever we've tightened things, we hold these memories in our cells that way. So sometimes we have to even go in. That's why a jade egg or Yoni egg is really a great tool. Or doing something with a glass wand in your pleasure practices and going through and massaging with your self-pleasure and doing a de-armoring. So anything from even past lovers, like when I work with my clients, we do an energy accord removal and do things to work through any traumas they've had with past lovers. So then you're able to relax more and then your orgasms flow better. Everything is all interconnected. So we're like, oh, we're just going to do this one technique for this, but there's so many different layers to it for sure.
You were saying about the yin and the yang with your partner, and you can become similar. So how do you create that again when you've lost it?
Try to have different interests and try not to do everything together. In society, we have that thing, oh, we're so much alike, we're so compatible. And oh, it's great. They like all the things that I like, but then that makes everything get a little boring. When people have different interests, it can be intriguing. Oh, what is this thing you're doing? I haven't even thought about that. And then they're bringing something new into your world, and that can be nice. So take out a different interest so that you're creating
Different polarity.
yeah. And also to be more into your feminine society, for females to be taken seriously in a male dominated society. And with the patriarchy, we take on the role more of our masculine energy, and we see our feminine energy as weakness, or people will say as a feminine, we're being too emotional. What we really want to do is realize that our feminine energy is strength. It's very beautiful. But yes, it's great when we step into our masculine energy because we're able to get things done and be really focused and be direct, but there's a lot of beauty and things we can get done in the flow of the feminine. If you can step more into your feminine, because when we're really busy and we're want to be taken seriously in the workplace, and we don't want to be harassed by people that are trying to make passes at us or whatever is happening in the outside world. We hold this certain guard. Then when we're with a male partner, sometimes the males, they're around males all the time. When they're around us, they want to be able to be with the goddess. It's an honor to be able to witness feminine energy. If we're able to be aware how we might be being more in our masculine and we can be more in our feminine, then we can hold that space and create that opposite. It's like a battery, like positive and negative charge. That's going to keep that spark there. And if the male feels like being more in the feminine and we want to be in the more masculine role, that's okay too. If that's what we're deciding to do, we're doing role play and we want to be more the dominatrix, right? There's something different, right? We want them to be more submissive. Like you can do that to keep the spark there, but there's always that need to have that opposite. So there's that push pull to keep that. I saw your comment about it gets more swollen. Yeah. If you notice your anatomy, when we get more aroused, it gets swollen. Dance is something too. The three main tenets of Tantra are breath, sound, and movement. So whenever you're able to dance, you're doing movement and you're able to raise your Kundalini energy with your root chakra. A lot of times before self-pleasure, if you take time to dance, and I also like to think of dance. I learned this from Sahara Rose. She does a thing called the abundance. So she would get like in the juiciness of what she's wanting to bring into her life with movement and with dance. I'll have my clients do a dance and have candlelights and have a nice sensual dance, because then you're moving the pelvis and you're getting the energy to flow in there. You're increasing the blood flow, and then you're having movement. You're increasing your pace of your breath. Then you're having sound and you're around music. And it really helps to get things glowing. I have better orgasms if I've gone dancing before because I've already been getting the energy flowing through my body. Too much familiarity can lead to monotony. Mystery can reinvigorate the attraction. I always say, why does monogamy seem like monotony sometimes? You just know that person so well. And if they're not doing things like creating space, the anticipation of having a date night, then we're not going to be that excited because it's like, oh, I'm just at home with you. So you don't think you need to ask me on a date anymore. I'm just guaranteed to be here when you go to bed, like we're going to hook up. No, for me, I'm very mental. And I think a lot of females are, and we like that anticipation. We want to look forward to it because it takes longer for us to get aroused. So all of a sudden, if the male is, I've got erection, let's go. It's, okay, I wasn't even thinking about that at all. And I'm way over here. And you have to create that space and put that intentionality. Going dancing would be great. Even if you just dance right now in your living room, just have a date night with your partner and have that intention of not looking at your cell phones, not being distracted by things, having a nice dinner together, and creating that space where you really honor and take the time instead of just cohabitating like roommates with each other.
With the breathing, is it just literally breathing in and out? But is your intention of moving the energy around?
Think of like imagine, because where your attention goes, energy flows. So your sexual energy from your root chakra, just breathe that up your body and just imagine, visualize as you're being aroused, that you're breathing as if you're breathing that up through to the top of your head and let it go back down, and just you're circulating it through your body. Breath of Fire is a great breathwork practice. I teach those things on my self-love ebook too. We'll go over some of those things in self-pleasure. Can you touch on practices that can help open your heart chakra again? Yes. Practices for the heart chakra is self-pleasure with doing a breast massage and sensual massage. Get some nice sensual oils, do different sensation like pleasure mapping, see how your different sensations are. See if it's a lighter, a feather touch, something a little more firm, a pinching of your nipples, what feels good to you. And then all around the breast area, all the way, because your breast tissue even goes back to your armpit area. Do circular motions and you go outward, inward, and you can do your nipples. And that's really good for your heart chakra. And then just breathe. You can be self-pleasuring, and then you can be doing a breast massage with your other hand, and then breathing that turn on energy into your heart space and feeling expanding, it's feeling opening. It's really good.
Would you do nostril breathing or through the mouth? And would you do connected breathing at this point?
I teach my clients a lot of different breathwork practices, but I find there's one that I really, it's the bliss breath. That's like a sexy, the ujjayi. It's like a sexy Darth Vader breath where you constrict the back of your throat and then you breathe in, you go, you're breathing out. Makes
So,
almost like a hissing sound. It's good. But mainly just because then we get so technical, we can be, when we're self-pleasuring, we can be like, wait, how does that breath go and stuff? And that's really great for men to do that, those steps, because that will delay their ejaculation. So it serves as a purpose for them to be like, oh, wait, what is that step? What is that step? What is that step? Because that can prolong things for them. But for females, if we get too much into thinking, how is this breath? How is this breath? How am I doing it? What is that technique? Then it can take us out of being connected with our bodies. So just nice deep breaths in through your nose, out through your mouth. I'll guide you through the cosmic breath right now so you can feel more sensation in your body. Get into a relaxed state and relax your hands in your lap and close your eyes, because where your attention goes, energy flows, and we want the energy to go more inward. And you're going to just take a nice, slow, deep breath in through your nose, and filling your belly with air, and nice, slow, deep out through your mouth, letting go of any stagnant energy that no longer serves you. Nice, slow, deep breath in through your nose, exhaling out. And then with each breath, just think longer, slower, deeper breaths. And then imagine like right above your crown chakra, pouring down from source above you. Feel light energy from source pouring into your cells. Filling up all your body, and then exhaling, letting go of any stagnant energy. And now just do the breath at a pace that feels good for you. But I invite you, as you inhale, just relax the muscles of your forehead. Relax any tissue and your tension in your eyebrows. Relax the muscles to your face. To your jaw. Relax your neck, drop your shoulders. And again, just nice, slow, deep breaths. Notice any sensations you have in your body, like any tingling in your hands. So a lot of times you can just, as you're ready, just open your eyes and return to the space. When I take care of babies right after surgery, when I count their respirations, I have to put my hand on their bellies, because when we're born, we breathe from our bellies. We get it conditioned by society that we start to restrict ourselves and we start to breathe just from our chest area. Having nice full belly breaths is healthy. That's our natural state. Then we're able to breathe, be more expanded and relax more.
I want to get more in touch with Tantra and Chakras. Some of the techniques that you're teaching will help the women and the men to communicate more with their bodies and their breathing to be more sensual.
Yeah, I loved that. How does polarity work with same-sex partners that lead the same lead energy? Sometimes you're going to have to play off with different energies. One of you is going to have to step down to a different energy just to create that arc and that spark a little bit. That way you can keep that desire and that passion there. Because then you just get to be almost like as if you're like brother and sister instead of lovers. You're just like so similar. So you want to keep something different and not always share everything. Like sometimes do something without them, or not spend all of your time with them, have a little time apart. Even if you just hang out more in the different part of the house a little bit, so you're connected to them at the hip all the time, because it gives a little bit of mystery in a relationship. There needs to be trust, and then you can create that mystery because you're not worried about what's happening when your partner is not with you. You have that element of mystery. So trust, intimacy, mystery, all those things are important to keep passion alive. I'd like to know about the Yoni Egg. The Yoni Egg for self-pleasure is really great because it also helps with any de-armoring that you have around any traumas that we've had, or even clearing out the energies from past partners and ancient practices using a jade egg. I'm going to have a jade egg program soon, and I'm really going to do is a Yoni Egg, because I also love the companies that sell the eggs that are made of different crystals, like a rose quartz egg, and that actually has the healing properties of self-love and helps your heart chakra. Black obsidian helps you get over trauma. They have amethyst. You can see which one really speaks to where you are in your journey right now and which one will be the most beneficial for you. Then you just use self-pleasure, breath work, and tantra is a sexual healing tool. I have another program, the Om Method, which is the Orgasmic Magic Manifestation Program. You use your sexual energy, because that's our most creative energy, to manifest the things you want to create in your life. That's a 3-month coaching program. If you're interested, those are programs I teach. Also, I do one that's the chakra clearing, where we clear stuff with the mother-father wound and do inner child healing, work on removing energy cords from toxic relationships and soul ties, and healing your energy centers with your sexual energies. I don't have like a one-size-fits-all program. I have different programs, and when we have a discovery call, I'll see exactly where you're on your journey and customize something that will get you to where you're wanting to go. What is the biggest thing that you feel like is like intimacy block for you, or what is something you're wanting to experience? And we'll create something that will work for you. Perfectionism is an illusion. And even when you're trying to be perfect about your pleasure, like we have to let that go. Because if we worry too much about getting things perfect, then we just never ever take the chance and we never try to do things. It's just like building that muscle for ourselves and getting that experience in so we can start to experience life differently. As the more you try and the more you focus in on it, the better you're going to get. I appreciate everyone so much for being here. My next masterclass will be on male pleasure and male multiple orgasms. I don't know if you know this, but men can actually be multi orgasmic too. I teach my male clients how to separate their orgasms from their ejaculation, which allows the females to have extended periods of pleasure. That's how I had my first tantric experience because my partner had already mastered this. And then males aren't drained from their sexual energy and they're actually able to channel that energy. It's their life force energy to optimize their health, to reach their goals. Because males, they fall asleep right after sex because their ejaculation drains that life force. Our energies, our orgasms energize us because our orgasms go inward. And so the things where we lose energy is through menstruation and childbirth, pregnancy. It impacts us differently. So it's really powerful when I teach men how to do this. So if there's a man in your life that you think would be interested in that too, stay tuned for that and let them know because I have some clients that are in their 60s and they're like, I never even knew this was possible to experience in my body. And they're having like full body orgasms, feeling energized without even touching themselves, just with doing breath work and stuff, even and learning how to have orgasms without ejaculating. So our bodies can experience so much more pleasure than we ever realize. You can visit my website, yeschakra.com, and sign up for my newsletter, find out how we can work together. And if you have any questions about this, I'd love to hear from you. My YouTube channel is Yes Space. I share more informational videos there. If you're watching this through the YouTube, this is a private link for people who have purchased this masterclass. If there's something you want to learn more about Tantra, pleasure, sex, or how to have conversations with your partners, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to create more information that will empower you to experience maximum pleasure because the more pleasure you feel in your body, that expands to feeling more pleasure in your life. Live your full orgasmic potential.